And we are live. Welcome to AA Beyond Belief, a podcast by, for, and about people who have found a secular path to sobriety and Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is John, and I am here with my co-host from Boise, Idaho, Angela B. Angela, how you doing?
I'm good, John. Excited to be here this morning. Well,
Yeah.
It's morning here.
Yeah, it's just become noon here, and of course, for our friends in Europe, who this thing is designed for, it should be 6 o'clock their time, I guess. Yeah, 6 o'clock their time. So hopefully,
Hope you had a good day.
yeah, yeah. So just get right into it, I guess. We were thinking today about just taking today's topic from a reading from Joe C's book, Beyond Belief, Agnostic Musings for 12-Step Life. And this reading is from April 28th that Angela thought might make an interesting discussion. So, Angela, would you like just to go ahead and read it, and we can just kind of let a conversation flow from there?
Yeah, that sounds good. It kind of jumps off of some of the other topics that we've talked about recently, particularly the one on writing, which is really easy to do a part 2 on. But we would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. So yeah, I'm doing April 28th and Joe C's Beyond Belief, Agnostic Musings for 12-Step Life. And so the beginning quote is, "The writer operates at a peculiar crossroads where time and place and eternity somehow meet. His problem is to find that location." From Flannery O'Connor, 1925 to 1964. And so the rest of it is, creativity can seem elusive. It doesn't come when we summon it. We cannot simply set a GPS to the creativity crossroads. Like the writing greats, we put pen to paper or characters on a screen to help us find what we are searching for. We journal, we write inventories, and maybe we write poems or songs as well. For much of our lives, we have been like screenwriters, crafting scripts and roles for whom we should be. We each cast ourselves as the story's hero. When the world we lived in became unbearable, we rewrote our scripts, recasting new co-stars and scouting out new geographical settings. The same creative skills we employed to deny and delude can help us find our way back to reality too. The 12 steps have writing exercises built right in to help us face the facts. Journaling can become part of the meditation and reflection process, or it may simply be a way to filter the useless crap out of our heads. Ruminating and regretting can be purged onto the paper or screen so we can get on with the day, less encumbered. Even doodling can be like a meditative breathing, scribbling as we negotiate through our mind field. Searching our hearts can be like an emotional minefield. We tread lightly, afraid of tripping up on memory or repressed feelings that might blow up in our face. Sometimes we are afraid for good reason. Other times we are anxious, merely suffering from fear of the unknown. Writing can be a way of discovering. It can also help us diffuse potentially explosive memories or feelings that might disturb along the way. Seeking is a commitment, not a prison sentence. We come and go as we please.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, am I a writer? Do I use my creative power to escape, create, or discover? Is the question.
Yes.
Oh, that was really well written. Oh, I hear a dog.
Sorry.
Hey, Jackie. There are 14 people there today. That's really nice, for a podcast that we're just starting out on a monthly basis. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Good to see you out there.
Yeah, sorry about that. My mom's dog saw a cat, which alerted my dog, and you know how it is. It was an all dog alert there.
Yeah. I saw your Facebook post about your dog. What was she watching, or he watching? It was a porcupine doing something.
A porcupine eating a pumpkin, I think.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. It was so funny.
So, yeah, if you turn on the sound, you can hear a tiny little like type thing as the porcupine's enjoying its meal. And and Toby was watching it on the screen and kept tilting his head, trying to understand what was happening on there. And it was very cute.
I
So
tried to
he's
introduce our dog to television. I had a video of rabbits in a field, but the dog just didn't seem to understand it. She could watch the television and see rabbits.
yeah. I think it's a noise thing for Toby. So
uh,
started out with a
yeah.
wolf howling for him to
Uh,
see what he would do, and he started howling with it. And then there's a Sia song, the Alive one, where she kind of yells a little bit. and,
uh-huh.
um, and I saw a video of a woman trying to do yoga to that, and her dog was howling with the song. And so I played with that for Toby, and so he howled with the dog that was howling during the woman's yoga. And
Funny.
yeah, so he's a funny dog. He's a border collie.
Yeah.
I could get his DNA stuff done, but I don't know. I just haven't yet. I
Yeah.
haven't done mine, so maybe I should do mine first before I put my dog through that. I don't know, but anyway, he's a smart dog, and he's really entertaining. And that video came up on Facebook as a memory from a few
Hmm.
years ago, and I just thought it was a good time to share it because
Yeah.
I love cute animal stuff. And
Yeah.
so anyway, off on that tangent. You can call in and share us your favorite dog stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
There
but
at one of our, and we'll get to the topic, but in one of our conferences, I think it was the one in Toronto, there was actually a workshop on pets and recovery.
oh, really? I don't think I
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah.
one. That's
There's a
awesome.
recording of it. I think I'll post it in the Facebook group so people can listen to it. But yeah, pets and recovery.
Very
Okay.
cool.
So about, we're not talking about pets and recovery today. We're talking about this topic from April 28th. What are your thoughts on it? Get us started, Angela, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, a couple of things that came to mind reading over it was, again, talking about writing, which we did recently. And one of the things that I neglected to mention in that episode that somebody brought up on our Facebook group was something that I believe is international, but is pretty popular here in the States, which is NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. And it happens in November each year. And the way it's usually worked is that you would sign up for this, and it's a website, and then there'd be different groups like in your area or your interest, and you could join with other people and work on a novel. And you try to write so many words per day. You set whatever works for you, but ultimately it's like 50,000 words is what most people are hoping for in the month. And so people would get together at coffee shops or at book clubs or bookstores, or depending on where you're at and the weather, the park, and just do some writing together, because sometimes the accountability is really helpful to get things going. I think a lot of us have a novel in our mind, or just want to write our life story, because a lot of us have we've seen some things, and
Mhm.
it would be good to share that with others. And so that's something that I've attempted a couple of times, but never was able to complete. And so I've signed up this year, and I'm going to give it a shot again, and see if I can be more disciplined, since I can't leave the house.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about, is that exists. And I highly recommend it, and that there are lots of, since people don't get together, or most of us can't get together right now, there'll be even more stuff online to be able to do, and groups, and bounce things off of each other. And so if you're looking for something to do in November, and you've always wanted to write a book or your life story or anything like that, then I'd check that out, and join us in that. But yeah, so that's one of the first things that I was looking at in this, was that we journal, we write inventories, and maybe rewrite poems or songs. And then just the idea, going back to, they talk about in the big book of I think, in there it's more of that we're the directors. But in here he talks about it being screenwriters, which
Yeah.
I think is even more accurate for me, because I spent a lot of time in my childhood, particularly I can remember, but even as an adult, having conversations with people, or, thinking about situations, and then having it in my head, well, I'm going to say this, and they'll probably say this, and then I'll say this, and then they're likely going to say this, and, have this all going in my head, and being, caught in that kind of a cycle. And one of the things that doing inventory does for me is it gets some of that stuff out on paper so that it's not circling in my head, and it can help me to be more realistic about what I'm, my expectations are, because it's very rare that what I've had going in my head is how the scene plays out when I actually talk to somebody about it. So it keeps me in some honesty to write some things down. And then the idea of the, at different times in our life when we were unhappy with things, or they became unbearable, we rewrote our scripts, recasting new co-stars and scouting out new geographical settings. And so, in a lot of the rooms and meetings, we've talked about doing a geographical, right. Just picking up and leaving and going someplace else. Or there are those of us who were in relationships or something, and decided that was the problem, and changed that instead of getting help for our drinking, and then rewriting who we are. And I think that is a big part of recovery, is kind of becoming, I don't think that we lose ourselves, but I think we rewrite who we are. We get a better understanding, because for many of us, we're under a false sense of self, of who we think we should be or how we have to be. And I think some of recovery and going through the steps helps us to restructure into a better version of ourselves. And that writing's a big process in that.
Yeah. I kind of like thinking about what he wrote there about when the world we lived in became unbearable. We rewrote our scripts, recasting new co-stars and scouting out new geographical settings, like you pointed out. Kind of reminds me of my growing up years. Every couple of years I would rewrite my script, to conform with whatever the environment was I was living in at the time. So, and it took a while to kind of outgrow that. I don't know if I actually completely have, but
yeah, well, and I don't necessarily think that some of it is negative, because we can also look at it as that when the world became unbearable. So when COVID-19 hit, and we couldn't go to meetings and do whatever our regular routines are, we rewrote our scripts. We started doing our meetings online. We started doing a weekly podcast. We started meeting new people from different places, and scouting out new geographical locations. We're on the internet now, and so I don't think that any of that is negative. For me, it's been really good and helpful, and I've made lots of friends, some of whom are in the Facebook or the YouTube group right now, that I wouldn't have met, or wouldn't likely have met, had this not all come about the way it did. So there's new co-stars in my life right now, and kind of a new script.
I hadn't even thought about that, but absolutely, that is true for me. Completely true. My life is totally different post-COVID. As is my recovery life, and the people that I interact with now. It's a whole new ball game for me. Everything's changed. And I think about what it was like prior to COVID, when I was, most of my AA life was centered around my home group and the people and the relationships with the people. And I kind of miss that, but I did what we have to do, what I had to do for me anyway, and that was to focus on this kind of stuff, like what you and I are doing. And So that's my new script is this has become my recovery world, I guess, doing the podcast and working with people connected to AA Beyond Belief.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things in here that I also enjoyed is somebody mentioned in our Facebook group that looking for worksheets and stuff for 12 steps, and that prior to COVID, not many people knew. Well, I can't say that. I think people knew that there's secular options, but not as many. And we definitely became more prominent as a group of people once the rest of the world was forced to go online to find meetings. And so with the 12 steps and writing exercises, you and I know of several books like the Alternative 12 Steps and Getting Sober Without God, and several others of ways of doing the steps and writing things out. But that we have lots of options now for journaling and for writing through that process. And I think there'll be more. And I'm encouraging people I know to write down how they do it and put that out there in some sort of way if they're open to doing that, so that other people can continue to write and to share and to learn, and that they're not alone and that there's other ways of doing this. Recently, somebody contacted me via Facebook that I've known in recovery for a long time, begging me to talk to somebody locally who is in just getting out of rehab, who has been in rehab for several months now, multiple rehabs, and is in her 4th month of this one, and doing outpatient, and had still never been told that there's a secular way to do things, and so was really despairing that she wouldn't be able to get and stay sober because she couldn't do step 3. She just could not wrap her brain around how to do that. And so working with her on how to write something out like that, and in doing that right now, I'm reaching even further to lots of different options, because sometimes the way I talk isn't necessarily the way that is easiest for somebody else to hear on how to do things. And so I'm reaching out more with that, and also writing out more how I do a lot of the stuff that I do within the steps and how I translate them. And so I'm hoping to put all of that together at some point as well. And this is helping me with it. So the journaling and doing exercises on 12 steps and things like that.
I did a lot of writing a few years ago, I guess 4 years ago, 6 years ago. It's hard to believe how long, when we were getting the new group started, and I was kind of transitioning from my traditional way of viewing my recovery to this new view as a secular person. And I did a lot of writing just to try to understand all of that. And it was really helpful. It's still out there. I'm not saying it was very good writing, but it was, it helped me anyway. And incredibly helpful. David wrote something in here which kind of I don't know, it kind of triggered something in me. He said that quarantine left one of his drinking buddies dead, and he saw it as an opportunity to get well, and he took it. He found secular AA through Google, which really helped because he was done with traditional AA. Boy, there's a lot behind that story. I'd love to. I know it's got to be painful, but I'm curious as to what went on there. If you were if it was his death that propelled you to get back to meetings and you found the secular meetings, or there's a lot going on there. But boy, there's a lot of stories like that out there right now because of COVID. I know a lot of people are not doing well, and some are getting better. So
I think what I've noticed is that some people who may not have had a serious drinking problem prior have some of them developed one during this, that there's so much going on, particularly in the U.S. That it's quite overwhelming, and I know that some of my friends who are not in recovery are still have children at home, and so having to try to do all of this stuff and to homeschool even part-time their kids, and do it mostly alone, because some families can get together depending on the health of everybody involved, but a lot of them can't. And so some of the mechanisms that we had in place to help prior we're not able to use as much. So like our meetings and stuff, but also like extended families being able to come in and help young parents be able to do this. And so some people have been coping by, drinking more, and it's difficult. So I think that also with that, we don't talk about it that much in AA. I think in some of my secular meetings we do that people who are drinking excessively, or who may be, binge drinking or developed it, particularly in the last year, may not actually have may not be classified as alcoholic. Sometimes it is situational.
Sure.
And so, I think that it would be good for us to talk about that sometimes in meetings, that people may not be alcoholic. I think people get scared about it because so many of us, we really needed to get that in our brains that we had a problem, in order to stop. But I think that things are changing in the way that we view addiction and dependencies and such, and that this is probably a good time to really, take that into consideration as we're moving through this pandemic and this crazy, time in the world, so that we consider how we can best help the people that we love and care about. Because, telling them that we think they should join AA or something may not be the best thing for them. And so I think that'll take some open-mindedness and creativity for all of us to be able to do that.
Yeah. There are a lot of alternatives out there for people too, especially if they're looking for secular alternatives. I got an email from someone who found our podcast, and he is actually a sex addict, and he was wanting to know if there were programs, secular programs for sex addicts. And I actually know of one because I was contacted by someone in New York a few years back who was actually starting a fellowship for sex addicts in New York City that was secular, and I kind of lost his contact information, but I directed this person to Smart Recovery, because they can do anything. They can do, it doesn't matter what your addiction is, it's Smart Recovery, so
right.
And it is totally secular. So
I have a good friend who started attending that locally. Our groups here, as far as I know, aren't that big, at least in the last few years. But that she started attending it because her mom had developed a dependency on painkillers after a back surgery, and that she didn't know how to help her. And so she went to Smart Recovery, and they had a component for, friends and families of people kind of like Al-Anon, and that she found it really helpful because it gave her very practical things to do and a practical way to think about things. Regarding that.
And they also incorporate writing too in some of their tools. That it's just really, I've always found writing to be valuable. Mark says he got interested in it from his college English. Man, I can't remember my college freshman English 101. I don't know. I probably didn't do very well because I didn't do well in anything when I was a freshman in college.
As I mentioned in our previous one, I've loved writing since I was a child. But my freshman year was fun in that we had to read an article or a small essay on embalming. And I had never even heard about embalming, because as a young person just out of high school, I didn't have a strong interest in that aspect of dying, apparently. And so I didn't know what the process was. And it was really interesting. So writing an essay or response to reading about embalming was something that it sounds so funny that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's a way of processing what I've just learned, when I'm able to do that. So writing, I don't know that I would have, I'd have the quality of sobriety that I do now if it weren't for writing.
Yeah.
That I really have to be able to synthesize what I've just learned, or what I think I've learned, or what I've read, in order to put it to work in my life. And then I think there's the component of just doing it after that, making it a habit. But yeah, the writing for comprehension is essential for me.
Welcome to Eurostream, JS from Brighton, England. Nice to see you out there.
Yay!
Eurostream, I love it. Yeah,
Cool.
and as we do this, we should start having more guests from Europe. We our first Eurostream featured Steve Kay from the Manchester area in England, and that was a fun episode. He's an interesting guy. So
Yeah.
if you're out there, if you're people in Europe land, if you're interested,
Europe land.
send us an email. John at aabeyondbelief.org. We'd love to have you on and talk about the recovery in the Europe land.
Europe land. Yes, we have a great interest in Europe land, and as Americans, please do educate us so that we have other words than Europe land. Although that's fun, one of the things further down that in continuing with our April 28th reading was doodling. Scribbling to negotiate our mind field. He uses it in wordplay. Have you ever done that? Just like kind of?
I'm
You're
terrible.
not a doodler?
No. I mean, I will when I'm at a meeting at work or something, and I just do out of habit, and I think that's okay. But no, I haven't just sat down intentionally just to doodle. I'm not really good at that. I write. I do write. Now the thing though that has changed for me is it used to be that my writing was just for me. And now I feel like anytime I write something, I have to put it out on AA Beyond Belief, and that's intimidating. And I'm working on something right now that I've been writing, and I gave myself a deadline for tomorrow to put it out, and I'm just not that happy with it, and I'm just afraid to put it out there. But so writing has become, although I enjoy the process. Like I've enjoyed writing this. I've taken some time to kind of reflect on what I'm writing about, and it's been kind of relaxing, and I've been moving the words around and so forth, but I'm still not comfortable with it to put it out there yet. So but Bob gave me something to post, so I could always put that out instead. Maybe I will. But I don't write as much now for like, I mean, I would, I guess, if I had something come up. I think one thing that COVID has done for me is it's made my life kind of monotonous, so that I don't have that many interactions with people, interpersonal interactions with people. So maybe I'm not feeling the normal stress of life that I would normally feel. I don't know. It just seems like life has just gotten to be one day is like any other day, It's just another day of the neighborhood, It's just, I don't know. So writing, I haven't had to write because of any kind of angst or anything like that, Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, unfortunately I have. So there's still a lot of angst for me. And I think that I'm one of the people that have become much more busy and had more stuff going on since all of this started. My life's become more complex.
Yeah.
And there are a lot more considerations that I have in my life. And so writing is helpful for that. And, just to get some of my thoughts in one coherent place, because I do find that with the extra stress in my life and being somebody that family and friends kind of look to for help, that I really need to do that because I get scattered easily. My attention span is shorter during all of this. And so, I do need to do the writing, and I've been incorporating meditative breathing more as well, which is part of what's written in here. But the scribbling or doodling thing, it made me think of when I first did the steps. That one of the things my sponsor had suggested, and that really helped for me, was when I get stuck with something that I was having a difficult time writing about, was writing with my other hand, or taking the page and writing like in a different direction, like diagonally against the lines, which is just really hard for my brain to know. You're supposed to write on the lines, that's what we've learned how to do. But writing, diagonally across a lined sheet of paper made my opened up neural pathways, I guess, brought on creativity and in a way that I hadn't considered before, and it was very helpful for getting me out of some stuck situations or stuck thoughts where I either had stuff that was repressed or for some unknown reason did not want to look at, and so it helped me in that way. And but I too in meetings would be a doodler, and mostly because sometimes it's really hard to listen to other people talking about or not talking about things that needed to be done, and trying to manage my feelings and reactivity to things. So I got to hand it to doodling for helping me manage my reactivity. There are lots of hearts and strange little configurations on many a sheet of paper that's helped me keep it together.
So JS said that he heard of that in French AA, you can still drink wine and it doesn't count. He says that's a Euro joke, and it seems like I've heard that before, but I guess I'm glad it's not true. But it reminds me of in the early AA days, there was a group in the South somewhere. I can't remember if it was South Carolina, North Carolina, but they decided that drinking beer was okay for their group.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out well in the end, but
I'm guessing. Yeah. Well, and if there's like a sanitation problem with the water, then there you go.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening.
Bob is wondering if more women than men do journaling. I don't know. It seems like, what do you think, Angela?
I think that we're probably socialized to do it earlier in life, because
you're given a diary.
So our little diary with the little lock on it and things like that. So I think that that's possible, but I don't know. Within recovery, it's men do that as well. So I don't know that I have a good perspective on it right now. As far as men versus women in journaling, I would say that probably more women, not only from the diary, but just because most of the time we're socialized to be processing our feelings, and so a lot of our journaling is working on feelings.
See, I never journaled for like on a regular basis for a long period of time. Well, I mean, a couple of years I did. I mean, that was the only time. It was like my first couple of years, maybe year 2 and 3. I was journaling pretty regularly, but for the most part of my life, I wasn't. But I write. I mean, writing has always been a big part of me ever since I can remember. And like I said on the episode when we were talking about writing, it was just because my head was so scrambled. I had to, and the only way I knew to make sense of what was going on was to write it out, to understand what I was feeling, and to separate reality from what I was thinking was going on. So writing's always been important to me. If I was angry or sad or whatever, that's when I would be motivated to write. So But like
Yeah.
I say, it was always writing. It was always for me. It wasn't like it was going to be posted anywhere on the internet. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
you know,
So it was, just for, reflecting
yeah,
and
yeah,
and yeah. So yeah, I guess it depends on your intention on whether
yeah.
you like it or not. Uh, I don't know how many people. I mean, we know that Bob Kay's there, who writes both for business and pleasure, I
Hmm.
guess. And I've often wondered if I were writing, for work or something along those lines, if it would change the way that I feel about doing writing or not, if it
Yeah.
would just become like one of those things. And I would certainly hope not, because it is something that I enjoy. But I also found, as I mentioned to you earlier, that coloring is something that I'm not sure when it developed, like the adult coloring books and things like that. The first time I remember seeing them was in a psychiatric unit when I was 21 years old, and was in there for depression and suicidal ideology. And that they gave us, these coloring sheets that had geometric patterns and things on them. And so for part of the time, I just sit there coloring, and I found that very meditative and relaxing and creative, even if it's a picture already drawn, because I got to choose the different colors and which colors went where, and in the different shapes and stuff. So that's another aspect of creativity that I continue to find useful. My good friend on there, Jackie, sent me
Hmm.
a coloring book that has a lot of swear words in it. So they're these, lovely pictures of flowers and trees and birds and things like that. And then they say little sayings like, it's called karma and it's pronounced ha ha fuck you, and so yeah, so it's kind of fun to keep things a little light and to keep my brain occupied sometimes when there's just so much going on, and I either don't have the ability or the mindset to be able to process it. It helps me to do something creative, and yeah, keep my mind going in a more positive direction, even if it's swear words.
Bob
Um,
says it's like focused activity, form of meditation. Makes sense.
yes. John Stewart, Bob Kay is my guru. Yes,
Yeah, good to
we
see
know
you,
that.
John.
Yeah, yeah, the guru. But yeah, so I've been doing a bit more coloring, and got a little bit neurotic, which I was sharing with you last night. I bought a whole bunch of new markers, well, new markers for me, but they don't have labels on them of names or anything. And sometimes when I go to color something, that the color doesn't match what the outside cap looks like. So I've had to like make a sheet and use every single marker in a spot on that sheet, and then number what the color is, and then put that number on the marker in Sharpie. And
Oh,
yeah, and so even my relaxing creative meditation, I can get a little carried away with. I mean, it is useful and stuff, but it made me laugh that I found myself doing that while watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy last night.
John Stewart. He was episode number 6. Unbelievable, John, that it was that long ago. We did that in December of 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still in the mode of thinking back on the past. Yeah. But that was a fun episode. I think John was he was the first guest from outside of North America, and it was really exciting, to talk to him and learn about what was going on in the UK and his experience with AA, and it was a really nice conversation. It's turned out to be still one of the more popular episodes. So I know it seems like a real long time ago, John. And
Yeah.
how different our lives have become. You got busy with Sleeper and doing well with that. I'm so glad that you guys are performing again. Of course, I don't know what you're doing now with COVID. It's difficult for musicians now. Anyway,
Yeah.
off track
Yeah.
again.
Well, I think he's writing a book or something, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. He is working
Come
on
on,
that.
John, and enlighten
We
us.
need to have John. We need to have you on this podcast.
It's
I'll
true.
send you an email,
You are
schedule a time.
highly requested,
I'd
John.
like to know
Whenever
what he's doing.
we ask about what people would like to hear or guests and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
people
better for
want to
you to tell
know.
us what you're doing than for me to speculate about it.
Lots of lockdown videos. Yes. Yeah.
Lockdown videos, yeah.
That'll be our next podcast. What's John doing right now? And yeah. But I remember seeing that video on your webpage, and I didn't
Uh-huh.
watch it for a long time. And I think that I didn't watch it because the title of it, I
Oh
was
yeah.
concerned that that it was just going to be negative, you
Right.
know, and you know, just a bunch of bashing stuff or something along those lines.
Uh-huh.
And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't really that. It was just, you know, conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
And
actually nervous about it beforehand too, because it was all about, leaving AA. And so, because I wanted AA Beyond Belief not to be about that necessarily. But no, he wasn't, and I agreed with everything he was saying. It was like, he's not anti anything. It was like, and it
yeah.
totally makes sense. Let's give people a choice in their recovery. There's
Mhm.
so many different options available for people. And, I think it's great that you do. And there's no reason you have to choose one path and stick on that one path when there's so many different programs and modes of therapy that you can avail yourself to. So that's what that was all about. And I learned a lot in that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. And I think it was helpful for me to really look at, you know, some of the more cultish things in AA. And
Yeah.
one of them that we get kind of ingrained in us is that if we don't go to meetings or if we leave AA, that we will eventually drink and thus die.
Mhm.
And so we're going to die anyway. But
Right.
you know, it's just the way that that's presented early in recovery, and I can see where a helpful aspect of it is to keep us, you know, going to meetings until we can start to develop a different sense of self that doesn't involve drinking. But I found that as the lockdown happened, one of my frustrations was with people who were in AA that were continuing to meet together in groups because they felt like if they didn't, that they would drink and die.
Mhm.
That, you know, that the doing the online thing wasn't the same, and no, it isn't quite the same. But yeah, I feel like some of the dogma that's created within AA has been harmful to people, particularly in that aspect. And so that was one of the things that that early when I saw that video of leaving AA, I didn't think about because we didn't have
Right.
have that, but that that came back to me as all of this was happening was that episode
Mhm.
on, you know, why do we do these things and are they, you know, particularly necessary, and necessary for everybody, you know, because that's not a component that everyone really, you know, has to do. So
Yeah. We have a listener from Copenhagen. Welcome. Nice to have you here. I'm glad that you enjoy the Eurostream. We'll keep doing this on a monthly basis, and I'll try to reach out to some people in Europe and have some guests, and that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you. I'm glad that you're here and that this is something that is helpful. And same, I wandered into this halfway through. Didn't realize these Euro streams were happening. Well, it just started.
yeah, we did one last month, and then talked about how often we would do them, and so we decided that once a month, at least
Yeah,
for the next couple of months, and then we'll reevaluate in January and see if there's enough interest to
yeah,
continue doing them, or if we need to do them on a different day and time and stuff
yeah,
like that. So,
yeah.
um, but
It's
yeah,
it's kind of hard, when we do our Friday live stream, and it's like, last night I didn't sleep for whatever reason. I don't know why, but anyway, I didn't, and then it's like, whoa, bouncing right back. Now here I am. back on Facebook, back on YouTube. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
So,
I like it.
right. Yeah. And we may be able to play around with the time or
Yeah.
things like that too. So,
In fact,
yeah.
you know, I this is kind of scheduled at, I guess, at supper time, and so if it's
Mm.
if we need to do it later, we can do that. Just let us know what works best. You know,
Um,
um,
I don't know that many people that do like just
have regular supper
supper.
times.
Yeah. Is that a thing still?
Probably not.
You know, particularly the Saturday night supper time. And
Right.
then for people who are free thinkers, I'm pretty sure that it's not, you know, well, who knows?
Yeah, I'm thinking that people gather around the dining room
Right.
table
Yeah. Yeah.
and talk about the day. I guess. I don't
Have you been watching the BBC and, you know, some of those period pieces and stuff?
know.
Anyway.
My wife does though all the time, and
Yeah.
she what she does is, so she watches on Netflix. We have the British channel, so she's
Mm.
watching all these British shows. Oh, hey Steve, and she turns the volume way up, and she says she has to do that because it helps her understand the accents, understand the dialogue, and
Mm.
so it's like it's just the British television is just blaring in our house.
That's great. Yeah. My mom usually does that too. She has, you know, a few things. I mean, I love a good you know, historical period drama, you know, revisionist or not. I
Yeah,
just finished the Victoria series, and it seems pretty revisionist to me, but great costumes. Really enjoy that, and I do things on subtitles. Is how I do all of my British
oh,
shows. Is that I put it on
that's smart.
subtitles because yeah, it is sometimes difficult for me to understand what was just said.
Yeah,
And then that way it doesn't have to be blaring to
right.
other people. So yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if I said hi to you yet, Steve, but hi, Steve. Good to see you.
Hi, Steve. Really nice to talk to you last time.
Yeah, that was really nice. And then right after that, well, actually, I don't know if it was right after that, but you know, I think it was last week or the week before, we posted an article that he wrote on spiritual bypassing, which was actually really good. It
Yes,
was really a
yes,
well written article. There were
yes.
some comments about people. Anytime you use the word spiritual, there's
Hmm.
always a little bit of a debate that develops, which I kind of think is kind of unnecessary. But what the heck?
Yeah,
Hello from
we
England.
found in my home group that it's funny because there are a couple of people who dislike the word spiritual more than they dislike the word God.
Mm,
Which I I found interesting because you know, that's not been the case for me.
yeah.
And yeah, but we also have people who are atheists that
Oh
go
yeah.
to church
Yeah.
and stuff because they enjoy the I guess ritual of
Oh
it
yeah.
and the community and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're a bunch of weirdos,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bunch of,
So I don't worry about it. For me personally, I'm not really into spiritual terminology or anything like that. But it doesn't mean that if I'm exposed to it, that it makes me angry or whatever.
right.
It's like I mean I can still kind of interpret it. It's emotional or whatever. It's yeah, so it's not a big deal to me. But yeah, anytime you use the word, it's always provokes some kind of a passionate response from in some a lot of people. So that's cool. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
find it find particularly with the topic of spiritual bypassing that for me it's less on the word spiritual and it's more you know I guess from a psychological
yeah,
aspect of you know processing emotions and feelings and things like that and that I find with some people in my life not necessarily in AA, some of them are outside of AA that sometimes they can use some of the spiritual, and I just made air quotes for those of you
hmm,
um, in the Eurostream. They can use that to, as you know, with the term spiritual bypassing, to deny the feelings or repress feelings. And I recall in early recovery, you know, um, being upset or feeling like I wasn't doing something right if I had negative feelings, and that, you know, when we're talking about character defects or things like that, that, you know, those are things I'm supposed to get rid of. At least that's how it's often talked about. And so when you feel like you're not supposed to be angry, or that if you get angry that you're not in a good spiritual position, or doing a good program, or spiritually fit, or something like that, I think that leads to a lot of difficulties and problems in your life with incongruent thoughts and processing and things. And so it's something that I've become much more interested in and looking at more from a mind-body perspective. And so for me, it's not really a religious term anymore.
Right.
I can understand it, but at the same time, you know, I usually try to use a different term for whatever I'm talking about, because, you know, for me, it is more of a psychological type of a thing.
Yeah. Bob says it comes with a lot of baggage. It certainly does.
It does.
So you can call us from Europe to this number, 844-899-8278. I believe it does work. Now, if it should be a toll-free number, but if it doesn't work as toll-free from Europe, let me know. Another way that we can have you participate in the podcast, I can actually send a link out in the chat where you can jump on and come into the studio with us, our virtual studio with us. So I think I'll make that link available the next time we do this. So just kind of keep that in mind, that if you wanted to participate, you can either call at this number, or we'll actually invite you to come on into our studio here and talk to us online. So a lot of different ways to do this. So amazing that we can. Yeah.
Do they have to do like 01 or
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I think I know we've gotten a call from Europe before on this number. So yeah, I know it does work. Yeah. I just don't know if it turns out to be toll free or not, but.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And we actually had a call from Australia once too.
We did?
Mm-hmm. PJ called one of our very early episodes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. I mean, we have been doing this for over 6 months now.
I know.
It's kind of hard to remember way back in the early days when we thought we were referring to it as sober distancing, thinking that it was just going to be, you know, something for a few months. And
I know. We probably have another year of this ahead of us.
Of sober distancing. Yeah. And then our Eurostream now.
And the Eurostream now. So kind of got off topic a little bit, but you know, another thing I've got coming up today, I was talking to you about this earlier, is right after this podcast, I've got a board meeting for the Secular AA board, and those are the people that are putting on this conference that supposedly is going to be taking place in October of 2021. And so we're going to be meeting about that today, and we got a lot of other stuff to discuss, but I'm going to try to just get stuff off my plate and get other people to do things that I'm not doing. I'm just not, I'm not doing, because I just don't have time and the desire to do it. But
it's important to try to learn our limits and what things are helpful and less helpful. I'm not a good committee member.
No,
you know, I try and I do it when I actually have to do it. When somebody else isn't, or, you know, it's not going to happen, then, you know, then I
think that we're all realizing too that, you know what, we should just stick to putting on this conference and not worry about anything else, you know, like listing meetings and all that kind of stuff, which it might be helpful, but in a way it's not helpful, because there's no way we can keep track of every single secular meeting all over the world and know that it is still meeting at that time, at that place, you know, because it's not like people are updating it all the time. They update that information at their local AA entity. So anyway, and they're all for the most part listed now and easy to find. So, you know,
I'm missing going to be, you know, I kind of miss the fact that we needed to reschedule this year, because it would be, you know, about now that, you know, finalizing plans to head to DC and
we have a call.
Bethesda.
And let's see who this is. It's someone from the United Kingdom. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. I'm just, the podcast is playing. Let me just go in another room.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hi. Yes. Is that John?
This is John. Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Denise from the United Kingdom. Yes, from
Hi,
the north of
Denise.
England.
Nice to hear from you. How are you doing over
I've
there?
just come in and I found your podcast. I don't know. I just went on Facebook, I think. I'm just so glad that you're doing this now at this time, because the one that you normally do is in the middle of the night for me. Right. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Lovely to speak to you.
Yay!
I'm starstruck now.
Well, I'm glad, and I hope that we were able to have some guests from Europe and in other areas that can come on and make this an interesting hour for everybody. So I'm glad we can do this, and I'm glad that you found us.
Yeah, so, well, you just announced the phone number, so I thought, right, I'll try that.
It worked.
But, yes, and said it works. Zero, what did I put in? It's either +1 before the this number. Let's have a look.
Okay.
Before the 844, it's either +1 or 001.
Okay.
Good to know.
I put 001 in because I'm on a landline.
Okay.
And then the 844. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I can hear myself when I'm talking to you. You must have your computer.
No, well,
on.
I'm just coming. I've come away.
That's okay.
Another room because it's on my mobile in there.
There you go.
Oh, that's really brilliant. Yeah, I can listen to your podcast now. I really look forward to that. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
How are you today?
Oh,
How are you today?
I'm doing okay, actually. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas City. The sun is shining. It's probably about 65 degrees, and I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's just a nice kind of a coolish autumn day.
Yeah.
Angela, can you report on things in Boise?
Yeah, things in Boise, it's pretty much the same. 67.
Angela, got Angela. Can she hear me as well?
She can hear you. You're not able to hear her?
No, I can't hear her.
Ah, okay. That's something.
So are you coping with the lockdown?
Yes. I'm fortunate because I work from home full time, and so I'm safe and I don't have to worry about exposing myself around crowds or anything, and so it's fine. Like I was telling Angela, it seems like if anything, it's just the monotony of life now. Is that I'm just stuck here in this neighborhood, and this is all I pretty much see. How about you? How you doing over there?
Well, are you okay with my accent? Can you tell what I'm saying?
I can understand you fine.
Oh, that's great. Well, I live in a town called Bolton, and we had the highest infection rate in the country a few weeks ago because some young men came back from a stag party, didn't isolate from Spain, didn't isolate, went on a pub crawl and infected the whole town. So we've been on quite a severe lockdown, just the town, for a good few weeks. But the good news is it's just it's come down, the infection rate, in the last few days. So today they've opened the pubs and restaurants again because they were shut down.
Isn't it interesting?
So we've been a bit more severely affected than a lot of other people. But like you say, it's similar. And I'm quite old actually, so I'm vulnerable. So I've been all my social things have been stopped. I sing in a choir and one thing and another. So it's been quite tough. Yeah, I mean to be honest, the Zoom AA meetings have been my lifeline because otherwise I'd just come in, I live on my own, so I would just, and I go out for a walk in the morning and come back and I would just be isolated then. So the Zoom meetings have been really good. There are some face-to-face meetings opened up a little bit in the surrounding area, but I wouldn't chance going there.
No, I wouldn't either.
But the Zoom meetings are brilliant, actually. I really like them. Yeah, and there again, I do the telephone service from Manchester, so we've been doing that from home as well. And we were completely overwhelmed at the beginning of lockdown. A lot of people obviously found out they'd got a problem. So yeah. But that's tailing off. That's getting better now. Yeah.
When you were talking about the young men who came back from Spain and they went to the pubs, I think it's interesting how alcohol plays a part in this whole COVID thing, because it seems more often than not when there's a huge outbreak, it's because of people gathering together to drink. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it was so obvious because our infection rate was quite low at that point. It was 19 in 100,000. And then all of a sudden, within days, it went up to over 100, and it was 200 and something at one point. It just zoomed up. So it's incredible. Yeah, like you say, how alcohol plays a part. So we'll see how it goes on now that they've opened the pubs again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Kind of sounds like Florida.
So, otherwise, I'm fine. You know, it's one day to, you know, and all these things come in useful, don't they? One day at a time, and you know, being mindful and living in the moment, and they all help in this situation of being in lockdown, really. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, I'll let you get on with your podcast.
Well, thanks for calling, Denise. It's nice to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that's nice of her to call. You know what, Angela? I'm gonna have to find out why she wasn't able to hear you. That's interesting. I did not know that. So and I think we ran into that once before, and I think it's because I have you coming in through this is technical stuff. You coming in from the USB line, and she was on the TRS line.
I could hear when she said she couldn't hear me, you getting excited because it means some nerdy stuff is going to happen that you have to figure out. Yeah, so it's an exciting day for John.
We've come up on an hour. It's hard to believe. So this has been nice. Thank you, everybody, for participating. It was nice to see so many people here. We still have 19 people hanging out with us. That's amazing. So cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's nice to see old friends and Steve and Bob and John and Mark and Jackie. It's just really nice. So So let's go ahead, and I don't know if I've got my music to play out.
That'd be terrible without the disco. How would we go on?
Oh boy. Anyway. All right. So let me find what happened to my music. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not gonna worry about it. So let's just say goodbye, everybody. It was nice to be here with you all, and we'll be back again actually next Friday for a regular live stream, and then next month for another Eurostream. Take care, everybody. We'll be back soon. Bye-bye.